So you might want to be a fashion designer because you've seen people who are fashion designers and are doing seemingly well on social media. They're posting beautiful creations and they're making people look beautiful and vibrant. But here's the truth about this industry, and I want you to understand that I've been doing this for over a decade. All right. I came into the fashion industry from a media background because I was heavily in media. That's what I studied, and I worked there and did many jobs there. And I realized that I had this edge to create clothes, and I took that lead and went into the fashion industry. But did I not get a shock as the years went on, and I realized, like any other industry, there are gatekeepers, there are barriers of entry, there are things that will delay you, demotivate you, discourage you, and ultimately you will close down and give up on your vision. But I'm not saying that it's always the case, but for the majority of people who get into this industry, that is the case. Number one, there are many different factors relating or causing this to be. Number one, the influx of fast fashion. As you know, the Chinese market in the fashion industry is humongous, and there are people who utilize those kind of factories that produce fast fashion, and people will opt for that because the economy is extremely horrible. I don't know about other countries, but I know in South Africa the economy is bad, So the option is then for people to get cheaper clothes, and they always do that. Trust you, believe me, because also what those factories would do is that they would study particular markets and particular places, what people would like, and then recreate that for less. So it's already just a little bit of an impact on what you would then be calling a fashion business, right? That you would be running, because you have such an aggressive and vigorous competition, which is fast fashion. And then the second thing is that the fashion industry in South Africa is snobbish, in that there are institutions and there are sort of gatekeepers that will run things in a particular way that would exclude a bulk of creatives from actually maneuvering into greater heights. I'm saying this because I know for a fact that a lot of people who get these big opportunities to thrive are people who are already financially connected in that they can access particular platforms that can enrich them because they can afford those platforms. And for those who can't afford, exploitation is big. Now, this is what's been happening for years now. People will come in, for example, and this is probably the third point that I want to make, is that people will come in and say, "Oh, I'm creating this event and I want you to come showcase, and what I'm offering you is a platform to market yourself." What will always happen in those situations is that you will be a form of entertainment. The marketing is not logical, it's not realistic, because unless you have items of clothes that you're selling to go, like for example, if you have like a t-shirt brand that you're pushing, you can score a client or two or maybe four, right? But if you're selling couture clothes that are well made, well put together, it's not easy to just sell it off, a table somewhere at an event, because people don't carry around that amount of money. And to get to that point of decision to buy, you will really need to have budgeted for that particular thing, because most of the time designers create clothes for special occasions, if you know what I mean. So when it comes to that, certain concepts are not really for everyone. And I've come to realize that markets are not really for couture fashion designers, simply because the price line or the price range of the clothes that we often make doesn't really fit into some of these markets that people go to because of financial implications, of course. Now, another thing is, when you produce a trend, be ready for it to be everyone's trend, because unfortunately, if people see you doing something and it's working and they can see how you do it or put their mind together, they will also do it. So many trends don't become exclusive for too long. In fact, you can do something this week, next week, guaranteed it will be trending, and somebody else will be doing it in maybe their own way. Sometimes they even copy exactly the way you do it. But what I'm trying to say is, it's difficult to remain exclusive in terms of design aesthetic in this field, because how creativity works, you can produce creative stuff for a runway, but when it comes to what the market really wants, you'll just have to wait to see what people resonate towards. And most of the time, people will resonate to what is on Pinterest. So most of the trends that are on Pinterest would be the things that people would want incorporated into their gear. That's why you'll find that most of the time fashion designers kind of we seem like we do the same thing. We seem like we are like wired the same way. It's not because we fail to be creative, but because sometimes because we want to stay afloat, we have to do what the client would like us to do for them. And you may want to tweak it a bit. Like, I know I like to not create duplicates at all. I like to bring in my own design, texture, style, signature, aesthetic, whatever you want to call it, into whatever that I do. And it sometimes is visible for other designers, but most of the time it seems like we all work for the same factory. And then there's an issue of lack of community. Yes, there are WhatsApp groups of communities, of creators, of WhatsApp groups of designers, but it doesn't really result into anything more than just it being a group. But there is a lack of collaborative spirit, right? I feel like when it comes to fashion design, we could get ahead even further if we operated like, for example, a store like Woolworths, where somebody would create denim jeans, pants, and somebody would create white shirts, somebody would create dresses, somebody would create this and that and that, and then we all produce that for one market. But you'll find that that's not the case, because we are just not united. We are just not flowing with the same energy, and there's a lot of sabotage that happens. I personally produce fashion events simply because I want to contribute to the fashion industry. And I find that's very often when I have succeeded, the people that end up sabotaging me are the very same people that I'm trying to also assist. I'm not saying everybody is like that, but it is true. A lot of designers have this weird behavior of not supporting other designers whenever they bring forward new concepts that could really enrich the conglomerate, if you could put it that way. So another thing that I've noticed that is very tricky in South Africa as a designer, if you are on a budget, to access exclusive fabrics is not easy. It's not easy. Like, you'll find that I will use a fabric this month and somebody will use it next month, and then that's why we end up again looking like we work for the same factory, because we don't have a lot of variety when it comes to certain things. And when it comes to supplies, that's tricky. And also machinery that is specific to create specific things, very, very expensive. So I hope this helps, guys. I'll come back for a part 2 maybe.